Hello, this is Myra McKnight. Welcome to Dammit, Somebody's Got to Say It. Okay, I'll do that. I am enjoying this podcast, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. There are going to be some times that I'll have some guests, and there's also going to be some times where it's just you and I. And today, I'm kind of feeling like it's just going to be you and I. I want to talk about some things because you know that I am a relationship expert, and I have been working with people, and generally couples, definitely, and mostly women. I work with when it comes to their marriage, their relationship, and working and dealing with their husbands or their partners. I raise my hand because I have one too. And I have to learn and have had to learn over the years how to talk to him and how to get what I want from him. And at the beginning, it wasn't too easy, but I kept at it and kept at it. Mindful, prayerful, and intentional is what we have to be like. And today, I kind of want to talk to you just a minute about addressing both issues, be it the tone and be it the content. And a lot of times what I found, and the ladies I work with, the couples that come to see us, is that you're absolutely correct. How you say it is so very important, because what happens, we begin to lose sight of the content. But you have to make an intentional purpose not to lose sight of the content. Why is that? That's because you know what? If my husband says something to me and I didn't like how he said it, if I only focus on how he said it, then we will not get anything done. Because I am going to go back and forth. We will go back and forth how you said and the way you said it. Then I don't know what the hell you even said because I paid no attention to it. And that's a listening skill that all of us, men and women, have to acquire. But I have to say, yes, I put a lot of the onus on women because we give a whole lot and we expect a whole lot. But at the same time, we have to be careful in how we are projecting ourselves and how we are receiving the communication that we get from our spouses or our partners. Say, for instance, my husband says, you left your shoes in the floor. Okay, I left my shoes in the floor, but you didn't have to say it like that. But at the end of the day, what is it? My shoes are still in the floor. And if I'm saying it to him or he's saying it to me, that becomes the issue. Not so much as how he said it. And let me back up. It can be that way if they're being belligerent, calling you out your name. I am never, ever talking about people like that. And the reason I'm saying it is because I don't even work with those kind of people. I'm working with just regular folk that are married in a relationship and they got their hiccups and they can't communicate. It is very important, and it's vitally important that we make sure that we are in tune with our listening skills, because listening is a big part of communication. Not a lot of talking, ladies. It makes no sense to keep talking, and talking, asking, and asking. Men will tune you out, turn you out completely. After the third ask with my husband, I don't ask anymore. For instance, if I need the trash to be taken out, I see the trash is out. Of course, it bothers me that if I got 2 bags, let's know 3, and the trash is out, because I think that he should see it as well. Well, the problem is this. I'm more concerned about the 3 bags than he is. So what I have to do is make sure that what I do is I be just as concerned as he is. I'll ask him 3 times. After the 3rd time, I don't ask anymore. You got to come to a point to where if the house is not on fire, don't put it on fire. There's a lot of times women, what we want to do is we want everything nice, we want it neat, we want it in order, we want it done on time, we want it done when we want it done. In order for us to be in our relationships with our husbands and our partners, we have to make sure that we are not pushing that envelope. Men don't like to always have something to do. Is that right? Is that wrong? It could be either. I don't know. But every man that comes to our office, 100% of them, they don't like us telling them what to do. And as I say to all the men, it's not so much that we're telling you. We doing this for the betterment of the household. When we do talk to you, it's for the betterment of the household. Then the next thing they say is, well, the way she say it, I don't like it. She acts like I'm a kid. She acts like I'm her son. And ladies, there is a lot of truth to that. A lot of times we try to say, well, that's just how I am, and I'm very opinionated, and I'm this, and I'm that. okay, that might be what you are, and that might be how you project yourself, but you have to understand that it's affecting your relationship. If it's affecting him, it's affecting the relationship. If it's affecting you, it's affecting the relationship. We want them to hear us. They don't hear us if we don't hear them. And that's very important. That's why when your husband and your partner is upset, they're saying it in a verbal manner, but in that verbal manner, ladies, there is content. Let me give an example. One of my clients said, he said that I'm just tired of you always talking about the same thing over and over again, and I don't even want to hear that anymore. There were some very, very poignant points in there, which I asked her, did you hear the sound of his voice, or did you hear the words that were coming out of his mouth? You have to be able to recognize them both. Yes, I get it. You're upset. Let me put that to the side in my mind. But let's talk about the words that came out of his mouth. I am tired of hearing. Something you are injecting to him is not working for him. Okay? It's becoming a problem at that time. So I'm sick of hearing that. Okay, so that tells me that you're being real redundant over and over and over again. And you know what guys talk about that. That's usually the bad word. That's the nag word. You're nagging me. You're overwhelming me. And there are times where women do nag and they don't think that they're nagging. They think that they're having a conversation. But it goes overboard because men don't hear like we hear. They do not accept our words like we accept their words. Men, women, totally different in communication. You have to know his communication style. You cannot browbeat a man with something that you want him to do. The more you continue to ask him to stop doing it, the more he's likely to keep on. And let me tell you, if you're telling him this for the 10th time, you better know he clocked out on the 4th time. He doesn't hear you anymore. So now it becomes a point that he's doing it because he's just pissed off. And he's just going to do anything he wants to do. And you can't tell him what he can do. So we're going in a position of like, you ain't my mama. You can't keep telling me things. And they get defensive. And we go into that mode there. So you got to be careful how you approach them. And how you approach them and talk to them is how you're going to get it back. Now, I know some ladies going to say, it don't matter how I say it to him. That's just what he does. And I always say, you picked him. That's a trait you should have known about. If it's not, then you need to figure that trait out because that's your man and you picked that man. Did you pick him for another basket of goodies and not the sour grapes? Because they all got sour grapes. All of them. All of us have sour grapes. So you have to be able to decipher. You can't shut everything down and not talk about it. You got to put some conversation in it and you got to talk about it. It doesn't make sense to always have an issue in a relationship because that's not how you're supposed to live. It is not. And how you're supposed to live is not to be arrogant, have an attitude, go from 0 to 100, to shut down, to be mad, to cuss and fuss. That's really not a healthy relationship at all. If you want a healthy relationship, then you have to become a part of that. That means that you have to work on you. And this is something that I say all the time, women, you have to be on your own journey. What are you doing that you can take that time and pull into yourself? What are you doing that you can take the time and pour into you? We go to conferences, we go to meetings, we go to organized religion, we go all places, we're all stuck with a bunch of people. That is not on your journey. On your journey is being alone with yourself and who you have faith and trust in, your God of your faith, of your understanding. That's when you are on your journey because then you get to know you and then you know what pushes your button and what doesn't push your button. When you have a conversation with your husband or your partner and when he's feeling kind of funky or out of it, everything doesn't just jolt you and cause you a reaction. My husband, very seldom does he kind of get out of character, but we make sure if there's a 0 to 10 parameter and 10 being the highest or the worst, we stay within that 2 to 3 area. We don't go any further than that. And the reason being is because it is unacceptable for me and it's unacceptable for him. So our guidelines are just that. We stay in that parameter of 2 to 3 as far as the temperature goes in our conversation. If we can't solve it right then we'll come back to it and we both agree upon that. But there's not an issue that we can't talk about. There might be a lot of issues that we don't want to talk about, but there are no issues that we can't talk about. and it has to be there, but it does take time. It's not something you can do overnight, but you both have to be in it together. Let me give you a little tidbit about men. When it comes to relationships, because we are together so much, because we're building a life together, because we're intimate together, that brings about that closeness. And when men are upset or not feeling a different way, or they're doing things that are contrary to what they used to do or what they've done in the past, then what you do not do, you don't go all in and go off on them. Well, why did you do this or why did you do that? You got to find out what's going on with them. The way you find that out is you ask them. This is what you'll say. Is there something I can do for you to make your day a better day? I see that you're upset right now. I really don't know why, but tell me what I can do to help you. Instead, we want to say, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you know what? You need to get it together. Okay, you've missed a great opportunity right there. And the opportunity that you missed was being able to talk to him about his issues. Men don't talk to us. And the reason they don't talk to us is because they figure they're going to get shot down, they're going to get put down, and their egos are going to be crushed. So they keep it to themselves, or they'll tell somebody else about it, or the lady who's a gas station attendant, or the lady who's pumping some gas who smiled at him, or the work spouse is there to listen. We have to listen. We can't always be in confrontation with our husbands or our partners. We have to listen, because in a conversation, when he elevates his voice, he is giving you a tone, but he's also giving you a content. You have to address both, ladies. He's giving you a tone and he's giving you a content, and you have to address both. Which is the most important that you address? I know you would say tone, how you said. That's why I'm getting ready to nip this in the bud right now, because of the way you said it. That's not what's most important, okay? And let me reiterate that. If you're going into disparaging me and disrespecting me, that kind of thing, that's a different story. But I'm talking about voices a little elevated. You know, damn it, I'm tired of this. Da, 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 da. Okay, what I'm going to listen to, what I need to know is the content of I'm tired of this. What's behind that content? What's behind that door? What are you tired of? Let's talk about what you're tired of first. I'm going to deal with the tone, but let's talk about what you're tired of. And that way, you know, you're in that conversation. You have to be able to listen, you know, when the horn blows and when the light flashes, you have to be cognizant of what your partner is saying to you, okay? It takes time. It takes time. And it takes some understanding. It takes some empathy. And I always say, some of the women that say, well, you know, Myra, why I got to do it? Why I got to do it? Well, do you want to be married? Do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want it healthy? Do you want to laugh? Do you want to have fun? Do you want to grow? Relationships are constantly growing. You don't have to do this forever, but you do at a point to where he begins to open up to you and understand you, and then it helps you. One of my lady clients said to me, I just don't have the patience to do that. Well, then I said to her, well, what that's telling me is you need to work on some patience. That's what you need to do. If you can't do it because of patience, then you need to work on some patience. So it's not that we're doing so much for them. We're doing a lot for ourselves. And that's more important. If you want to be in a healthy relationship, those are things that you have to do. Men generally do not go and talk to anybody. Generally, they don't do that. They don't work on themselves. So what are we going to not work on ourselves because they're not working on themselves? Then what's going to happen? We're going to be at the same level they're at. You're not going to be happy. He's not going to be happy. He's going to go somewhere else. You're going to go somewhere else. And there's no guarantee that wherever you go, there's going to be any different. The only difference comes from where you stand today. A lot of people want to X out of where they are because they are frustrated with their partner. And then they don't know how to get out of the frustration. One guy says, you know, we're talking about communication, but we still don't have no communication. The thing is this, an example here. Somebody's talking too much, somebody's talking too little, and your conversation is not hitting the palate of your partner, meaning that they're not understanding what you're saying. And you're still talking English, but you're not understanding. I can use an example, somebody from New York and somebody from Louisiana or Mississippi. And if they start talking, you might like, what? I don't understand you. What did you say? I'm not sure. They're both talking English, but they're not talking the language of each other. Somebody else can come from New York, perfect stranger, and say the same thing to the other New Yorker, and they got it. They clicking like that. You have to make sure that the conversation that you're involved in with your partner is beneficial. That is beneficial for you and beneficial for him. You want to make sure that you all understand each other. Address the content and the tone if that's an issue. Most of the time it is. Address the content and the issue. Make sure you're listening more so for the content and not being emotionalized by the tone. Okay? This is the end for now, but I want to make sure that you get that. When I help my couples, and definitely my ladies that I work with, it's helping them to get a sense of their own inner self, to grow from their inner self, have something good that's going on. You can get what you want from your husband. You really can. But then again, too, that depends on how far he's gone. If he's gone too far, you might not have the patience to reel him back in, and then you might not want to reel him back in. But you still have to settle the score with yourself, okay? Remember, you have to address both. You have to address tone, and you have to address content. Don't be so concerned about the tone and don't hear the content. Because although he's upset, there's something he's saying that is true, and it needs to be heard, and it needs to be adjusted if you want to be with this person and want them to be a part of your life. Okay, and this is Myra McKnight. I thank you for having some time with me today on this quick little podcast. We're going to talk about some other stuff too when it comes to our relationship with our husbands to make it just a little bit better. And sometimes somebody got to say it, and damn it, I'm going to do it. Make it a great day, ladies. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. This show is brought to you by Omni Virtual and Hindsight Media TV. For more information about our sponsors, please visit us at www.hindsightmediatv.com.